It is a blustery day in the North Country. We had a windstorm come through here last night, knocking all kinds of stuff down. Always knocking them down, right? Good to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the Ed Schultz Internet Broadcast. And I'm going to go right at it today, and just so we're on the same page, so there's no misunderstanding. I'm getting kind of tired of the people on Facebook telling me that I don't like Hillary Clinton and I just have something against her. I'm getting tired of this narrative from these Clinton supporters out there who are saying, well, Ed, you just don't like Hillary. That is total BS, and I don't appreciate it. Don't box me in a corner about what I like and what I don't like. I think over the years I've been very solid on where I stand on issues. And I've made some changes on issues based on information that comes forward, and things change, just like the climate has changed, just like taxes have changed, just like public education has changed. A lot of things change. So I'm an issues guy. I am bothered by the fact that now we have two issues that Hillary Clinton will not answer. And if you've paid attention to my production on television and in radio and on podcasting and everything I do, I have had a vested interest in climate change and the Keystone XL Pipeline. I am the only media person in the mainstream media that has spent countless hours upon hours on this lousy trade agreement, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's not like I'm just coming out of nowhere and being disappointed in a candidate because we can't get a straight answer on issues that I have covered. So if you Clinton people want to fight me and you want to start a war or whatever, I don't give a damn. There's nothing you can say to me that's going to upset me. But I do get bothered by the fact that you're front running for Hillary for all the wrong reasons. This is not democracy. I thought Democrats and liberals and progressives wanted debate, wanted the vetting of issues. Instead, Hillary has got these supporters out there, well, you can't ask her that, and if you do, you don't like her. This is just a personal vendetta. I've stated time and time again, this is not about the candidates. This is about the issue. We're about to embark on a trade agreement that is going to be 40% of the gross domestic product on this globe. It is going to gut American jobs. It's been well documented. Every single union in this country is against it. And Hillary Clinton is saying because she's Secretary of State, she can't give us an answer on that. In fact, that is the comment. She says, I'm in a different position than other presidential candidates. I've served in this administration for 4 years. She said that adding that the negotiations over the trade deal and the Canadian pipeline were continuing, and that she has been involved in those discussions as Secretary of State. She says, if you look at both the trade deal and the Keystone decision, I will certainly express my opinion when there is something to express an opinion on. I mean, I can't take that. Maybe you can. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're okay with that. I don't buy into that at all. I don't think that Hillary Clinton should have any unbelievable loyalty to Barack Obama or any unbelievable loyalty to anybody on Wall Street that she can't serve up an opinion on a trade deal or a pipeline and climate change. I don't buy that. You might. I don't. You might be a big Clinton bobo out there that just can't get enough of it. I'm sorry, I can't. And I'm not gonna. Okay? All right. So this is in Iowa on Monday. This is Hillary Clinton said that she would refrain from commenting on Keystone.
I will refrain from commenting because I had a leading role in getting that process started, and I think that we have to let it run its course.
So everybody involved in a process can't have an opinion. They just have to be, machines that do a process. She can't think, right? Is that what it is? I doubt it. She knows exactly where she stands on Keystone. So the next day in New Hampshire on Tuesday, she's asked at a town hall meeting, Can you give us a yes or a no? Here it is.
As president, would you sign a bill, yes or no, please, in favor of allowing the Keystone XL Pipeline?
Well, as you know, I was the Secretary of State who started that process. I was the one who put into place the investigation. I have now passed it off as obvious, because I'm no longer there, to Secretary Kerry. This is President Obama's decision, and I am not going to second-guess him because I was in a position to set this in motion, and I do not think that would be the right thing to do. So I want to wait and see what he and Secretary Kerry decide. If it's undecided when I become president, I will answer your question.
That is arrogant. The American people deserve better. Because she worked in the administration, she can't give an opinion on where she stands on something. Does that mean that when Hillary was Secretary of State, she never gave President Obama her opinion on anything? Now, you might accept that. I don't. And I can tell you the people in this country who are concerned about climate change, the people in this country who want to do something about climate change, that want to make it a big issue, understand that bringing the tar sands oil to market is about the worst thing we could do, and they're probably offended by those answers. It's going to be hard for climate change advocates and those who want to address the issue of climate change to be okay with that answer and say, you know what, we support Hillary. This is exactly where the trustworthiness comes in on all the polls where Hillary is slipping. Let's go to Jane Kleeb. She's from Bold, Nebraska. Bold, Nebraska is a citizen advocacy group since early 2010. And is focused primarily on delaying or stopping the Keystone XL Pipeline in Nebraska. Jane, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Ed.
Are you okay with what Hillary Clinton is saying about the Keystone XL Pipeline because she was Secretary of State, that she can't give you an answer?
No, I'm not okay. And all the Democrats that are saying that they are okay with this haven't been paying attention to the issues around Keystone XL. And so I try to give them a pass, thinking that, they don't know the exact threats about the expansion of tar sands, about the threats of eminent domain for private gain, about the risks to our water, about treaty rights. I mean, the list goes on, Ed. As you know, you've been the only reporter who's actually been on the ground in Nebraska covering it extensively. But I don't give Secretary Clinton a pass. And we actually do know where she stands on Keystone. The only time that she's ever really spoken on it was when she said that she was inclined to support Keystone XL because Canada is going to produce that oil anyway, so we might as well take it rather than other countries taking it. That information was based on TransCanada's lobbyist belief in the expansion of tar sands, that it's going to happen with or without Keystone. Now we know that that's not true. We actually see tar sands really crippled, not only because of low oil prices in America, but because they don't have any big, large export pipelines out of the region. So she is wrong on this issue. And people like Steyer, people like Howard Dean, and even some Green leaders are giving her a pass on this, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
Tom Steyer is giving her a pass on this? I thought he was adamantly opposed to it.
Yep. He has spent millions and millions of dollars. He came to the unveiling of the solar barn that we built directly in the path of Keystone XL to show the president, choose clean or dirty energy. He is quoted in Politico today saying that, essentially it shouldn't be a litmus test and that he's not going to force her to make a decision, that she'll essentially make a decision when the time is ready.
I find this unbelievable. All these people are afraid of Hillary Clinton, that if she's president, she'll pull out the long knives and never forget that you challenged her on something. I mean, that's the impression that I'm getting. Your thoughts?
That's the impression that I'm getting, too. I think sometimes in these circles, people are worried about the invitation that they're going to get to the DNC convention in Philadelphia, or, the appointment or the relationship that they have with the Clinton family. And, I don't care about those things, right? I mean, I'm not a person who looks for an invitation, and I've worked in party politics. I have people on my Facebook page, too, Ed, questioning my kind of party loyalty. I was the head of the executive director of Young Democrats for years. I was the Democratic National Committee Youth Council chair for years. I know party politics, but even in those positions, I questioned leadership's approach to the youth vote. I questioned their approach on the Iraq War and other issues. As Democrats, you can't just sit by and give politicians a pass. And the Clintons have tremendous power, but I'm so hard on Clinton, to be perfectly honest, because I expect more of her. She has her climate change video out, Ed, where she starts out saying, I'm just a grandmother with some common sense. Excuse me, no, you're not just a grandmother. You're the most powerful American woman in politics right now. Stake your claim and make decisions.
This is playing, I think, right into the trustworthiness of the polling that's out there that say that she's not trustworthy. And also, is she connecting with the voters? Is it asking too much the voters to get a straight answer on something? And this idea that she was Secretary of State and started the process, I don't even know if that's correct or not, because this has been going on for a long time, over 10 years. And what is this, unparalleled loyalty to the president and the Secretary of State, John Kerry, that she can't weigh in on what she would do if she was president? It just doesn't make sense to me. Obama's going to do what he's going to do no matter what Hillary Clinton thinks. John Kerry's going to do what the president tells him because that's who he works for. So what are the American people, what are Democrats supposed to do with these answers, Jane Kleeb? As an activist, as someone who's terribly involved in this and has dedicated your life to stopping this pipeline and making sure that tar sands doesn't come to market, how do you reason with this?
I think that if you are going to any of the Secretary Clinton events or if she is going to make an appearance in your state, you need to get there, wear a No Pipeline T-shirt, and start asking questions. And if they're not going to call on you, disrupt the town hall, disrupt the rope line. She has to answer this question. People out there may think that this is just one issue in a very large kind of, series of things that could affect climate change. But I'm sorry, it is a litmus test. It has become a litmus test. You may like that as a politician or not like that as a politician, but the reality is it is. And she did actually start the process as Secretary of State, but she started it using a consulting firm called Cardno Entrix that actually had to be let go by Secretary John Kerry because they had a conflict of interest and because they had done such a poor job with the environmental review, which is also why it has taken so long for the State Department to do this, because the first stab at it was absolutely a mess. And she has insiders, left and right now on her staff. They used to be TransCanada's lobbyists. I mean, it's crazy. So I am scared that her loyalty is lying with a foreign oil corporation rather than, folks in the heartland.
Well put. Jane Kleeb, always a pleasure. Great to have you with us. Some real straight talk from the heartland. We'll do it again. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Jane Kleeb is director of Bold Nebraska. And yes, I have been on the ground in Nebraska, did quite a series of stories on what was going on down there. They got a problem now with eminent domain. This thing's a long way from being built. Obviously, the president's opinion is going to have something, his stamp of approval is going to have a lot to do with it. But those folks are still fighting in a big, big way. And we'll talk more about it as the days go on. Hillary Clinton should give a straight answer on this. Now this. Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about BioGreen Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, wegoted.com, or go to biogreenclean.com. www.biogreenclean and order today.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Subscribe to the Ed Schultz podcast today. Simply log on to iTunes, search for Ed Schultz, and click the subscribe button to have the show delivered to your preferred listening device daily, free of charge. Rate and review the podcast to tell us how we're doing. More details at wegoted.com.
Well, they're out and about getting after Mike Huckabee because of his comments and comparing the Holocaust to the Iranian nuclear deal, which the majority of Americans do not want Congress to approve. It's a slight majority. I think it's like 52% of Americans are saying that Congress do not approve this Iranian nuclear deal. We would be the only country that would be saying no to it. So the 60-day window of debate and back and forth on this continues in the Congress. In the meantime, Huckabee is being chastised by most people, but not everybody. Listen to his interview with Sean Hannity.
I believe history will prove this deal with Iran is worse than Munich 1938. I pray that I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. You're right. And in part because it took an incredible apparatus to build the structure to murder people one at a time or several hundred at a time, 10,000 a day in Auschwitz. With one nuclear device, several million people can be murdered and killed. And I think we underestimate the radical nature of these animals who run Iran.
What is wrong with Obama?
State.
So there you have it. There's Hannity in the media who is saying hope it doesn't turn out to be Neville Chamberlain. And also the fact that he thinks that this Iranian deal is horrible. And there are people that do believe that in this country. You know, that's what the debate is all about. But how come he's not backing down? His comment was that Obama was walking the Israelis to the oven doors. And a lot of people are up in arms about that and demanding apology and everything else, except Hannity. But wait a minute, there's one more, Donald Trump.
I'm okay with it. I think he's a very good guy, Huckabee, by the way, and I'm really okay with it. I see some people are, saying, oh, the tone and I saw Jeb Bush, who I think is also a nice person, but it's not about tone. I mean, they're chopping off Christians' heads in Syria and lots of other places, and we're worried about tone. I think what Mike has done is he's hit a nerve, and he's made people think a little bit.
I can't disagree with that. People are thinking quite a bit about this. He could have done it in a different way. Certainly didn't have to involve the president walking the Israelis to the oven doors. There's other way of saying it. But, of course, we're in a news cycle where the guy you just heard from, Donald Trump, is sucking a lot of air out of the room, and Huckabee's fighting for attention. I think he'll get support. He's fundraising on it already, by the way. Now, what if this deal does not go through Congress? What if the United States is the only superpower on the globe to say, nah, we're not going to do this deal with the Iranians? This is John Kerry's reaction.
I don't know how I go out to another country, if that happens, and say, hey, you ought to negotiate with us, or you ought to talk to us about any issue, whatever it is, with a reliance that we can actually deliver. Because they will sit there and say, well, you got 535 secretaries of state in the United States. We don't know who we're negotiating with.
So how is this going to play out? The Koch brothers probably have a pretty big hand in this. They probably have an opinion on this, although they have not revealed it as of yet. And I think that's going to be coming pretty soon. What is interesting about the Koch brothers in this 2016 cycle, early on they're trying to ice out the guy who's leading in the polls, and that's Donald Trump. Trump is not going to be invited to the Koch brother compound in Orange County, Florida, this summer when they have their big conservative shindig. He's not going to be given access to the mega donors who are connected to the Kochs, and he's not going to be given access to any data, which is rather extensive, on how to run a campaign. This is good news for liberals in this country. This is good news for anybody who wins the Democratic nomination, because this is just going to get Trump's back up, and this is like Donald Trump being thrown out of the Republican Party, being thrown out of the club, which is only going to force him, because of his ego, to run as a third-party candidate, which is going to walk a Democrat right into the White House. So the rift between the Kochs and Trump, they used to be good buddies, but apparently now they are political enemies, and they view Trump as a real threat. This is the Ed Schultz Internet Broadcast, brought to you by Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team. We're back. It's time to continue our conversation about mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation is for the piping systems in our nation's commercial and industrial facilities. Facility owners are burning up billions of dollars through the lack of mechanical insulation on these piping systems. Call the iSave team. Insulation saves America valuable energy, and this team of energy conservation specialists is shovel-ready to save you money. Visit iSaveTeam.org to have a specialist give your plant an energy audit.
Listen to the Ring of Fire weekends on radio stations across the country. Get more information and the news of the day at ringoffireradio.com.
Bernie Sanders joining me tonight on The Ed Show, 5 o'clock Eastern on MSNBC, and we are back tomorrow.